It would cost all of it.
Maybe
no, I'm
That's
joking.
why you animate that bitch.
Maybe Dutch would be in there also from Predator.
Oh,
I wouldn't mind that at all.
I think you meant the movie Dutch, starring Ed O'Neill. No one remembers that movie. Do you?
I do.
vaguely remember it. I
Ethan
remember
Embry was it good?
Ethan Embry and Ed O'Neill.
Emo Phillips.
Jesus Christ. Fucking Emo Phillips.
Ready?
Dutch.
Wait, is he really in it?
No.
Oh,
Why don't I just get Uncle Buck?
All right, here we
with
go.
the shovel.
I like he's the only one doing it. Oh, hey, what's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving Gation? Well, it's Pride Month. Why not? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast, the fastest pod alive, episode number 31, a show where we talk about movies and comics and TV and speedsters and all the other things that scratch your nerdy itches. We're here coming. I'm sorry. I'm swallowing and I'm processing some sour Skittles. We're coming to you live from the Video Content Factory, a bomb-ass production space in Philadelphia, PA. I'm your viscous host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA 19127. A rad-ass comic shop for you. With me this week is...
Hey!
Brian Lieb,
Hi.
Len the Bat Tribble Webb, and our son, the voice of reason.
Yert.
Also in the booth is our trusty
Like the
producer. I don't know if trusty is a word I'd use. Dylan the Great. Remember, if anything goes wrong, 100% Dylan did it. Before we get into tonight's discussions, we'd like to thank all of our listeners for being with here.
Yeah, they were with here.
Us.
Yeah.
I'm so good at this. I'm getting I have to talk into the microphone. You didn't miss a thing.
Dylan will be indicating that with a sword that you cannot see, but just know that it's there.
It's
So when we are bleeding, that's why.
Yeah, that's,
When
he's so quick. You won't see it.
before we record, anytime that he sets up any kind of like visual cue for us to do something we're not supposed to mention, we mention it. It's cool
All the time.
all the time.
Get in the chat is what I'm about to say. Get in the chat and chat with us, just like Robert Monroe Jr., who says, "What's up, Cult Poppers? Have you watched Secret Invasion yet? Just finished it. Enjoyed the first episode. I like this espionage aspect of the Marvel Universe." And then, hey, JD, how's Baby Destructo doing? I guess because he probably tuned into our other show, the Fresh Floppies, of which I could not partake today because my son was coughing all night. But he's much better. Thank you, Robert.
We'll talk about Secret Invasion next week.
Yes,
Yeah.
I watched it. He watched it.
I have not watched it.
Not yet.
I
Rand?
haven't
Nope.
watched it.
We're going to talk about it next week, and we may also talk about the comic book. So stay tuned.
And by May, he means
We're going to talk about the comic book.
But you never can be certain about the future. So
I never can be
That's
certain
true.
about
Yeah.
if everyone's going to read it.
Good point. All right. So Len, the Bat Tribble, put forth a challenge last week to send us your suggestions for an animated series to feature film adaptation. And one such viewer replied, we got letters, by the way.
we got
We
letters.
got letters.
We got
lots
and
lots of letters.
Hey guys, the cartoon that I think needs to be made into the single greatest film of all goddamn time is Thundar the Barbarian, created by Steve Gerber of
Howard the Duck.
and Martin Pascoe, with production design work by Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
Yep.
man.
Oh wow, that was a question mark. That the inflection was mine. He had 3 exclamation points. This amazing show premiered in 1980 when I was 10 years old. God, I am fucking old. If you haven't seen it, then take a minute and check it out now. Go do it. Have you done it?
I did. Actually. Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Because you had not heard of it.
I had
right?
not even ever heard of Thundar the Barbarian, so I went and watched the there on YouTube. There's a really
Yeah.
good transfer of like the opening credits and the first act of a show. It's kind of good. Yeah.
I remembered it. He had sort of like an old-fashioned lightsaber. Like the hilt was somehow attached to his arm, and he would take the hilt out, and it would light up this like
That's
fire
cool.
lightsaber sword.
That's
type
pretty
thing.
cool.
And then they had like a big,
It was
basically
called
a
the Sun Sword.
Wookiee friend, right?
He was actually a mock.
A mock.
His name was Ukla.
Ukla the mock.
It's well. Finish. What's the rest of the?
He
you got more in here?
continues. What did you think? Tell me that this wouldn't make an awesome film. As always, I really enjoy the show, and I'm curious to hear what you all thought of The Flash. Kind regards, Carl Carls, aka the unofficial 2000 AD Tribble.
I did watch this, and it's cool as hell. It's essentially like Commandy John Carter put in a blender, and it's cool as hell.
So all right. So it starts off 1987.
94.
It was
I took note of it. Yeah, it was just like 1994.
A comet passed between the Earth and the Moon, causing ecological damage, and like the Moon just cracks in half, and then
you see
the tides and
in the animation, you actually see the atmosphere just get sucked out of the Earth.
It's
Oh my god,
ridiculous.
It's
Bad
wild.
And then everything gets mutated.
It's a
and
Saturday
then
morning cartoon. It's cool.
He's got this giant-footed Clydesdale horse lizard thing that he rides around on. And it's
so the removal of the atmosphere caused everything to mutate?
2,000 years later.
2,000 years later.
Oh, and there was a comet involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comet.
Yeah.
Yada yada. 2,000 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thundar.
Thundar.
Yeah, okay.
Dude,
and go.
it is the craziest show in the world. Shout out to Keith Gibbs, aka EMC squared Tribble, equals MC squared Tribble, who came up with the verse, "I'm cool and logical like Mr. Spock, strong and powerful like Ookla the Mock." Many moons ago.
Damn.
I was like, I hate you for that, but it's hysterical. Ookla was essentially like, a sort of Chewbacca-ish sort of thing, but he had this really sort of high, like, it's probably really good high.
What was the theme of the show?
There was just adventure.
Did they fight evil?
I forget what the bad guy, who the bad guy was.
It was a
were they really into
diner review show.
They just went around the plane, finding places to eat.
It was
Like, I like it too.
generic action show.
generic
action show.
Princess Ariel, what's her name? Ariel.
Diner reviews.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, Princess Ariel was the.
If you're ever driving through,
must stop.
You ever see yourself going through Columbus? Must stop for onion ring. Sorry.
It's an amazing show. I would totally watch live action Thundar the Barbarian all day.
So thank you, Carlos, for writing in. So we're going to go through ours. What are each of our choices for animated series to live action adaptations? I believe we said last week that it would have to be a movie, not a TV show. That we're going to change it from a TV show into a movie.
Yeah,
right.
So a cartoon show into a live action film. Who wants to go first? I'm going to pick Len.
Oh. Okay, cool. Actually, it was funny. I asked the question last week, and the second after I asked it, I knew exactly what my answer was going to be. But then I kind of I knew we were going to answer the following week, so I was all fine. But then I looked up, and someone in the chat had already chosen my selection.
What an interesting time to bring this up. So we actually took notes of what the people said last week because they were so excited about the question that they started answering. Dane Z, we're gonna call him Z. Dane Z said, Real Monsters.
Real Monsters. That's a good one.
Tommy Be Good Too said Battle of the Planets.
Yeah.
Battle of the Planets.
Roxanne G said Marine Boy.
Yeah.
I don't know Marine Boy.
Oh my God.
Well, Marine Boy was my selection.
Oh
snap.
shit.
That was my selection. Marine Boy
Not
was
Battle of the Planets. Marine Boy, really?
No, it was Marine Boy. Marine Boy is from the 70s. It was an anime. It was a Japanese show that was over here in America.
There's this boy.
It was a very special boy. He was Marine Boy who fought
enlisted
with
in the service.
Well, he fought with I don't remember the exact name of the organization. It's always an organization. It was like the World Water Organization or whatever, and like they protected like the world.
Dopey.
They protected the seas from evil, right? And Marine Boy, like everybody else was like human, but Marine Boy had on like this red, like water suit, there you go, right?
That first picture you showed was a little dopey.
He had his friend White Dolphin Spritle.
Yeah, thank you.
And he took like aqua gum, which allows him to breathe underwater. And he had jet boots that he would click. He's like, I click like jet boots, and more or less fly underwater. And then he would take everybody out. You see on his arm, that was his electric boomerang that he would swing and knock
Through
out
the
people.
water.
Yes.
In the water.
Okay,
Yeah.
don't ask questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Like
Don't
it
ask
would really
questions.
electrocute till it got close to somebody,
That
and
makes
Yeah.
then it would knock everybody out.
Yes.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but it didn't.
Talking
It
to
had to be
my
close
was
to
that.
everyone.
It
Okay.
it was ridiculous.
It
I've
was
tried
absurd.
watching it over the years. I've returned to it. It was ridiculous. I didn't care.
It looks like something that would be for who was it that used to do
Robert Rodriguez.
C Lab?
Oh,
No, C Lab 2021 and
Yeah, Space Ghost.
Space
and-
Ghost
yeah,
Coast to
yeah.
Coast.
See,
yeah.
see, but that was Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
This was Japanese animation.
yeah.
So for the time, this was the best animation,
Wow.
right?
Mm.
So it was killer. And also for the time, you got to remember the Japanese, their stories, even though it doesn't sound like it's all that complex, was still more complex than you were getting in American
Right.
cartoons, right?
And the Herculoids.
Right. And he had like the big eyes, he had like a little tuft of hair, man, and he was just cool, man. Like to me,
Marine Boy
he
was
was
that word.
he was
I remember
cool
Marine Boy.
as hell.
Hmm.
And as cool and as action packed as the show was, the theme song was like, "It's Marine Boy." It was like all sweet,
Yeah.
but then he'd be throwing his electric boomerang and zipping
Murking
zazzing
folks.
everybody. I was like, "Oh, cool, man." But I could totally see that. I could totally see that made into a movie, man. Like a movie that fits like probably like that same age group that went to see League of Super Pets.
Hmm.
Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that age group would love Marine Boy.
Hmm.
Okay.
And especially now if you get into all ecological and climate
Oh,
control
yeah.
type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Put it
man,
on some.
oh,
Put it on
dope.
some like Shark Boy and
Lava
Lava
Girl.
Girl.
Yeah, that's what when he was
Yeah.
trying to articulate. I was like, oh, so like a all green screened Robert Rodriguez movie for Netflix.
Okay, well,
Marine
doesn't
Boy.
I don't
Yeah.
see it as green screen. I see perhaps getting James Cameron bringing this thing in.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You know
There you go.
It's he's
Developing that gum
Yeah.
to let the actor swim down there.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure he'll.
some of that to the Titan sub.
Oh,
Too soon?
Nope.
Nope. Yeah.
so shout out to Roxanne G because she was the one that
Yeah.
selected it as well. And Roxanne G,
That's so
I like the
Roxanne.
cut of your jibs.
And Robert Monroe Jr. says, first aired in 1967, Marine Boy did. It's also the reason why I used to chew Dentine as a kid because it looked like his Asper gum.
Wow.
That's
Mm.
adorable.
Yeah.
See, now
I
it
love that.
probably did air in 1960. I remember it
Yeah,
from
I remember.
like when I was about 8 or 9. So by then it's syndicated.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of.
They did 3 seasons.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
a lot of cartoons that we watched, like Lost to the Annals of Time, that we watched getting ready for school in the morning. They were only on like syndicated between the hours of like 7 a.m. and 8.
Mhm.
Like James Bond Jr.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize that it was like 15 years old. You were just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
James Bond Jr.
No,
is
you
on.
had no
Right,
idea.
right,
That
right.
show was from like 40
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, like how many people knew that the Flintstones was actually a prime time show?
I don't know.
That's
where I learned that.
crazy.
And
Longest
from
running
way
scripted
before we
primetime
watched
show
it.
before The Simpsons took that.
Yeah.
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 I like the name Asper gum. That's cool. Like
It was so
aspiration.
cool, man. It was
It's
so cool. It was so
Yeah.
cool. Ryan, you would love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can I-
Rainbow
where can I
Warrior
find it?
71 says that might have the Japanese release date.
Yeah,
for
it's 67.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I forgot to mention Robert Monroe Jr. had said last week the Herculoids.
Which you
Ah.
just poo-pooed
Yeah.
publicly. Sorry, Robert Monroe
Sorry,
Jr.
Robert. Brian,
Yeah. What's up?
you go.
So I feel like there's only one of the big ones from the era that I was watching that a lot of these have been made from, like Transformers here, right?
Mhm.
That hasn't been done yet, and that is Thundercats. Because I think one of the stipulations was it can't have been done. Well, Voltron hasn't either, actually. Now that you
Oh no, I said ho. Thundercat.
Oh,
ho.
ho.
Thundercats, ho!
Yeah, dude.
Fantastic.
Come on, I'm just handing you.
yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the Thundercats. It was
Yeah.
in my mind such an obvious thing that I was like, well, let me see if I can think of some other ones too. When Len was just talking now, it's claymation. I wouldn't mind seeing a live action Gumby. Like
Oh my
A
God.
live
We already
action.
got
First of all,
one.
we've got
Eddie Murphy
one
already
already.
did that.
He was Gumby, damn it.
Wait,
Gumby,
really?
damn it.
You never saw Eddie Murphy's Gumby? Oh,
yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Give me that all day.
Darn you,
Um,
Sam.
But then I was
that's a
thinking
good
of a
one.
couple of
That's a
other.
good
We've got you guys remember David the Gnome?
Okay, you only
Oh
had
my
to come up
God.
with one.
Wait,
But
hold
was
on,
I only
hold on,
allowed
hold
to
on.
come up
David
with
the Gnome. David the Gnome.
Yes.
Samantha Costa in the chat.
It's an
We
amazing
literally
thing.
just had,
Yes.
but make it scary. We literally just had a knockdown, drag out conversation about David the Gnome, and she's like, "It'd be like a great sci-fi." Blah blah blah. I'm like, were we watching the same David the Gnome?
David the Gnome.
I don't
It's
even
just
remember
a
David
little
the
a
Gnome.
little old
I don't know what
man
that
in
is.
the forest
Yeah.
who like nursed rabbits back to
He
life.
rides on.
It was the
stuff
most boring
and-
show.
So I also had.
I love you.
Never heard of the show.
I had a. It was cool. It was about a gnome. His name was David, and
Basically, it. He was
he-
he was like a doctor in the forest.
he also
Helped squirrels.
He
and shit.
killed rabbits.
healed rabbits and whomever, I imagine. But there was
No,
Just
just
rabbits.
rabbits.
Just rabbits.
Fuck everything.
an elk
else.
came up. He was like, "Get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here."
We don't serve your kind here.
There was ass moose.
David the
Yeah, he
xenophobe.
sucked. Actually, he's a bad dude.
Somebody want this dumbass moose in here. Get out of here.
Speciest David the Gnome. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to look through his Twitter. David the Gnome will get canceled immediately.
Canceled, yeah.
But there was a
Fuck
series
David
of
the Gnome.
books that are apparently really famous about the gnomes.
He had a wife.
and I had those. He did have a wife. That wife was cool. She was a cool person.
Sorry.
Well, she was a
And-
gnome.
Yeah, no. Well,
Are gnomes
right.
people?
It depends. You know, they may not be human, but they're
Yeah.
people, right? Like
They're
Martian
humanoids.
Martian
Humanoid.
Man.
Okay, yeah.
So there was this series of books which I loved, and I might be layering on some of
Yeah.
that to the show, and I'm not even sure
What?
that they are related to each other, but they both have gnomes that look the same. So
He was just a
You
drug
know.
dealer. He was
Yeah.
just a gnome forest drug dealer, and it was syndicated on Nickelodeon when we were growing up.
And-
Go ahead.
You
Yeah.
had like
Oh,
8. What was
just,
it? Do you have any more?
the first one that came to my mind last week, you guys remember Denver the Last Dinosaur?
Not
many-
at all.
It's a kid with a
dear God.
dinosaur.
We're only supposed
We
to
got
be
the
given one. This
Centurions.
dude is doing a whole TV lineup.
You know that if you don't,
I'm
give
planning a
explicit
cinematic
rules,
universe.
he
I
goes
didn't
rogue.
realize we were only doing one. I thought we were coming up with
He
a two.
said, Brian,
Yeah.
what's yours? One.
That could
Not
could
what
be a
are
set.
yours.
It could be a set of
What
things.
are
Not
yours?
what
That's
are
true, it would be
yours.
are yours.
What is yours?
I thought you said, "What are yours?"
Hey, Noel. What's yours, buddy?
So I had 2 just in case somebody took the first one because it was really obvious, but the chat took it, which was gargoyles.
Oh,
So I'm gonna go to my second, which is mask. Does anybody
Yeah, I
remember?
remember
I remember
Mask.
Mask.
Yeah,
Mask.
I
Yeah.
had to look up the acronym.
Wait.
It's
Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Yep, Mobile Armored
Nice.
Strike Command. Yeah.
Damn.
And they fought Venom.
Venom. Was that
Vicious
also an
evil
acronym?
network of mayhem.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's a good acronym for them.
It was essentially like bargain basement GI Joe,
You're
Yeah.
right.
and their
Plus Transformers.
their vehicles were normal vehicles, and they turned into attack vehicles.
Yeah.
So like the Corvette. Well, my favorite was the Corvette with the
wings?
wing doors.
Like
Yeah.
the goal.
The wing doors actually
Yeah.
went up and then became full wings with missiles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I took that toy with me
I
everywhere.
had the green motorcycle guy whose motorcycle became like a
helicopter,
helicopter.
yeah.
They were the best
It was
toys.
real cool.
And some director would have a field day.
McG.
I went, no, not McG. You're an
You
asshole.
said some director.
He is
not
some director.
Not McG. But like a good action director would have so much fun with this like colorful, crazy,
They would. They
Yeah.
would. Yeah.
like
Hmm.
playfully militarized. Is that even a thing? That's not really a thing.
Yeah.
Here's my
it
Depends
question
on who's
about.
propagandizing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Mask.
delicious propaganda.
I think Mask is a very good deep cut. So I applaud you on that. Here's my question about gargoyles.
Yeah.
Again, a great selection.
Mm.
But do you want to see gargoyles with the humans and then the gargoyles computer animated, or would you want to see them practical effects?
I say
Oh.
practical on
Hmm.
set with computer animated finishes.
I like that. I like that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I want to see the makeup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see like sharing physical space. Now we have the technology. We can build it. It being on set, practical, maybe even like foam practical suits, and then they just paint it digitally. But yeah, actors dealing with things in physical
space,
spaces.
So
Yeah.
you could have Jonathan Frakes as the guy. What was his name?
Sure.
I mean, he doesn't have to be a young guy.
Who's doing
You
the
know?
voices, right?
Yeah.
No. He was like the villain. He was
Yeah,
like a
that-
human.
Yeah.
The Dark
What was his
Gargoyles, aka Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was a holodeck.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
yeah.
Randy.
I have 2. One just popped into my head. Does anybody remember the show Cops?
Yeah, man. I had
Wasn't that
toys.
was that an acronym too?
Yes, but I don't remember what
I'll
it
look
was.
it up. Keep going.
The reason I really like that show because
The cartoon Cops,
the cartoon,
not to be
yes,
confused.
not the show, not that one. The lead guy, Bulletproof. He was like a detective, right?
Yeah.
So, and when I was a kid, I was like, well, that's obviously my dad.
Yeah, because he was black, right?
Yeah,
And he had the trench coat.
Central Organization of Police Specialists.
Yeah, dude, I was my joint. I was like, all right, give me that all day.
Yeah.
I
had the comic book.
Yeah. The other one, it's in my head as Brave Star, and I know it wasn't Brave Star because Brave Star was something different.
Starhawk?
No,
Silverhawks.
Black Star.
Black
Starring
Star.
Mos Def and
Black
Tariq
Star.
Waleed.
Yes. Black Star was about a alien pilot who gets lost on some random planet. And then he's got these, for whatever, it's like this guy and the 7 dwarves, because he hangs out with these like little dwarf things.
Yes.
And
these barbarian fetishes going on.
He got there's this magic weapon called the Power Star that gets split in half. He has the Star Sword. The bad guy has the Power Sword, and they spend all the time battling, trying to put them back together. This dude's got like a flying horse dragon thing. Like,
There's so much IP out there that people can use.
That was my joint, man. I loved Black Star. Yeah. Who was the Native American? Black Star?
Black Star. He was Native American. Yeah.
That was. But I would also do Brave Star too, because Brave Star was my joint.
Brave Star was the cowboy
Star,
one, right?
That was
Brave Star.
That was the it was
Western
robot.
Western robot.
Eyes of the Hawk,
sounds cool.
Speed of the Puma.
Yeah, it was dumb.
It was terrible.
It was so dumb.
But no, if it had to be one, it would be Cops, because I just loved that show.
Cops
is anybody reading the Gargoyles? So Gargoyles. I'm going back to Gargoyles. Gargoyles. One more time, we get a drink.
Gargoyles.
So the aesthetic of the show, I remember more than any of the fucking plots. Is anybody reading the comic?
No.
No. Right.
Nope.
Sorry.
The Rainbow
Good
Warrior
talk.
71 mentions Frake Curtis and Spinerwall and Gargoyles, as was Michael Dorn, and I think Kate Mulgrew had a role in it.
Hashtag full recast. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care.
So mine.
Yeah, JD.
I went down a whole rabbit hole today to
find rabbits,
to find rabbits and help them, like the guy,
like David the Gnome,
like
David the Gnome.
Yeah. And I forgot how great a lot of the animation was for the intros.
Oh,
but then once you got into the show, it was like, oh, this is garbage animation.
Thundercats. If you see
Thundercats, so good.
So much money on that.
G.I. Joe,
footage,
Transformers,
and that's it.
Silverhawks intro.
Silverhawks and the song ripped, dude.
Oh my god. Bluegrass.
Yep, it was awesome. But I'm gonna cheat. Because this one already exists. But G.I. Joe. I just want a good live action G.I. Joe movie, because I don't think I've gotten one yet. Even though we've had 3 G.I. Joe adjacent movies.
G.I. Jason.
I'm a Rise of Cobra apologist. It's fine.
That was the second one, right?
No, this first one.
But it's still not good.
It's
right.
It understood the assignment.
But it wasn't.
Look at you
good.
avoiding the answer.
Yeah,
it was a fun movie to watch. It is not an objectively good movie.
Right.
That's how
I want an objectively good movie.
Yeah. Well, the second one's like, let's do the same thing but gritty.
Yeah. Let's murder all the Joes.
Spoilers
yes,
for a movie
I think
no one watches.
Mulgrew was the Fairy Queen, says Rainbow Warrior.
And David the Gnome.
So you want a G.I. Joe, like a true,
like a good G.I. Joe movie, live action movie.
What would a good G.I. Joe movie be? Like, are you?
Yeah, that's the thing.
If
it's like, hopefully you'll get one soon. How far do you go with G.I. Joe? There's like
well, they showed up in the end of Transformers. I thought it was a possibility at least. Yeah.
It's just a military movie if they take it too realistically, or it's just a cartoon like we've gotten if they take it too crazy. So like, what's a good G.I. Joe
somewhere in
movie?
the middle. I just want somewhere in the middle.
Would they stop every so often and tell people useful things?
Yeah,
like kids. That'd be cool.
Kids, I'm a computer.
Yeah.
Stop with all the downloading. As Sam C put in the chat. Those are I don't think I've ever laughed harder than when I first saw those GI Joe. What were they called? PSAs, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, repurposed on the internet. It was so good.
Those are the people that did the C Lab 2021 eventually, right?
Was it them? I don't know. I could have
No,
been just some dude.
Well, I thought you told me that.
Dude,
So.
Early days of the internet, it could have been
Yeah.
literally anyone, and probably 10 people
was like
have
the
taken
Old West.
That's a
credit
good
for
point.
it.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for everyone who wrote in and everyone who commented in the chat. We have a question for you for next week. Noel, hit him.
What movie sequel is better than the original or than its predecessor?
I already got the answer.
Yeah.
Great. I
Someone
hope somebody
write it
in the chat just like immediately takes it from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Not if they're sticking. Well, okay.
Oh, huh?
You gotta put a caveat. You're saying movie sequel.
Film
Are you-
sequel.
Are you talking about in the
Let's go
geek
genre.
sphere?
Yeah, let's go genre. Best genre. And
Which
I don't
genre?
The genre.
something pop
genre
culture
of
nerd
movies.
adjacent. I don't want to be as prescriptive as what's the best
Right.
comic book movie.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
could be just anything that
But
is
pop
specifically
culture,
pop
You know what we're
culture
talking
genre.
about. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
Now,
on
does it
your
have to be-
honor.
Does it have to be immediate sequel?
No,
No.
You do, like
Okay.
the fourth movie in a
Okay.
series
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
yeah, whatever
Fourth movie in a
whatever
particular series.
sequel. And honestly, too, could be 25 years later if somebody wants to. Do we want to go as far as horror?
I mean, I'm a big horror guy, so I might do horror, but
Yeah,
yeah,
not,
pop
if that's
culture.
not in the rules.
That's
That's
pop culture
nerdy.
genre. That's nerdy.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
fine.
cool.
But like you could say H2O, which is a 20 years later
That's
sequel.
true,
That's
that's
fine.
true,
It's
yeah.
totally fine.
Robert Monroe Jr. is already in here going, Godfather 2, Bride of Frankenstein. He's just yelling out.
So
there.
I think Godfather 2 would probably be like on the line.
No,
Yeah.
but Godfather 2 is not a pop culture movie. It's
No.
become a pop culture thing, but
Yeah.
the
But
movies
yeah,
are
well,
not
yeah,
pop culture.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
Godfather 2,
Yeah.
Sci-fi, super.
it's a good answer. It's probably the right answer,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's
true.
no.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Randy, you there in the front?
Never gave a shit about the Godfather.
None of the
I mean, that's
Godfathers,
fair.
not a
Never gave
single
a
God, not even your own
steaming
Godfather.
My Godfather.
Yeah.
I like.
I've
Fuck that guy.
there's
Never
a
gave
a lot of movies that
steaming
I've watched
fuck
and been
about
like, that is very good. I will never watch it again.
Yeah.
Never
And
gave a shit.
I'm more of a
So it is.
Goodfellas guy.
Yeah.
I'm a good fella.
That's nice.
All right, so thank you so much. Let's move on to the main crux of our show, which I'm gonna call
Crux.
we're the Flash movie review. Da, 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 da. Directed by Andy Muschietti. Muschietti?
Muschietti.
Starring Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Sasha Calais, Sasha Calais, Ezra Miller, Kiersey Clemens, and a bunch of other cameos from throughout all live-action DC film and television. Worlds collide when the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to change the events of the past. However, when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, all right, he becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation. With no other superheroes to turn to, the Flash looks to coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian, albeit not the one he's looking for.
I think you're right. When you were, was that about the use of the word inadvertently?
Yeah.
Because he advertently
He
changed the future.
advertently
It just
did it.
wasn't what he meant to do.
Yes.
Right.
It was,
So we
it
doing-
was advert.
Are we doing spoilers, spoiler free, and then
Oh,
spoilers? with the
Wonderful
rules?
question. No, I'm so
Yeah.
glad you asked. So you out there in the viewer, in the view, everyone inside the viewer right now,
Like inside Herman's head.
get out of them. 'cause
Only
it's- that's
only
too many people.
schizophrenics and those possessed will watch our chat.
We're going to talk about The Flash and whether or not we liked it. We're going to give our overall thoughts, but we will let you know when it's time for spoilers. We will differentiate. So yeah. What? Who wants to?
Well, I think
Who saw the movie?
I think we all saw the movie, but I think also before we start talking about it, we should recognize the bit of the elephant in the room is that there are some people out there, maybe even in our audience, for whom they won't see the Flash,
Right.
because of
Yeah.
the controversy of the lead in the film, Ezra Miller, and the things that they have
Been accused of?
allegedly have done, and
There's active investigations.
Yeah.
So
I respect that.
we got to respect that there
Yeah.
are some people for whom the Flash, this movie doesn't even exist, and we appreciate
And
that.
that's totally fair. I wouldn't. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. If somebody wants to vote with their dollar, fucking go for it.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
I was a little bit, unsure what to do Luckily, I didn't have to pay for it either time I saw it. So,
I'd like to me. So all of the stuff that happened with Ezra Miller happened after filming this.
That's true.
So for me, it was more about supporting the director that I really like, the writer that I really like,
The other
actors. However, if they were or are to make another movie with Ezra Miller without there being some sort of like recompense or understanding, actually, just you know what, even if the person heals and is accountable and all that stuff, still maybe should move on from employment at WB in this role and let the franchise just kind of exist. So if there was another movie with them, then I'd be like, no, I think I might bow out.
I also like
Personally.
that idea because that means we would get a different Flash, which would make me happy. Now, Randy, you had your hand. It looked like you were chomping at the bits.
I love this movie, man.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Oh, yeah,
dug
no,
it.
it's not the movie.
I thought quite honestly, I thought he was fantastic.
They.
Yeah.
I thought they were fantastic. And playing against themselves most of the film was pretty dope. Yeah, I dug the whole thing. For me, it sits in that realm of every other Marvel and DC movie that's not great or trash.
Oh yeah,
there's a lane of about 40 movies at this point.
It's true.
That just like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll watch it again. You know what I mean? If it comes on,
I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the best take. The fact that like, is this movie atrocious? No. Is this phenomenal masterpiece? No. Well, impressions. You started off. I'll go. Yeah, it was fine. I liked it. I had a good time. I did see it twice. The first time was like nostalgia dripping and like, oh, this is cool and oh, that's kifty. The second time didn't hold up as well. It's a little overlong. It's a little
2.5 hours.
It's a little up its own butt. I got really, really bored. The first time I got really, really bored during that second act where it almost exclusively is just two Ezras because they're very effective at being annoying.
Yeah.
And when there was only them,
Facts.
I started to get annoyed. Like it didn't get saved until other characters were brought in. I was just like, I don't want to spend any more time with these two people. But other than that, like it's a good third act. It's a very fun movie. Loved all the cameos. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was just fine too. I probably would give it like a C, you know, a high C.
Delicious.
But a bad aftertaste.
Ecto Cooler.
Ecto Cooler, dog.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
a good one.
It was just okay, man. It was just all right. Like I watched it. Ezra Miller, to Randy's point, is very good in this movie. And so there's a lot to like about their performance in this. They do start to grate on you a little bit, to Noel's point. And there are some plot points in this movie that I was just like, okay, I know you want me to just take my hat off and just allow you to be as dumb as you are. You want to be, but you're just being a little bit too damn dumb. Like, and this is freaking annoying.
I really want to hear about those in spoilers because I got one of those of my own.
I don't even think it counts as a spoiler, but you mentioned one to me during the film when they're in their house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
we'll
talk about it.
we'll
We'll talk
hold
about
it.
it later.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, the movie definitely has all the. I saw it twice too.
Yeah,
and it definitely like has a lot of member berries in it. But that the second time, they don't really save it for you. And
I think that's fair. Like it was a really good experience, and then it just kind of crumbles under any weight of scrutiny.
Right. And the difference is, and the shame of it is that this movie comes out at the same time as Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which while not the same story, still deals with a lot of the same beats about walking around the multiverse and everything like that.
That's a hard thing to do. And the only reason that should even come up is because the grander sort of world isn't in this. This movie's been done for 2 years. Right. So the idea, because somebody was telling me this the other day, like it feels like you know, because Spider-Verse came out, they did this Flash movie that did the
Oh,
same thing.
right.
Like, no, but I'm hearing that already. I'm
Mhm.
hearing that like they made the movie in the week after Spider-Verse came out. They're like, oh, we need to make one of these multiverse movies real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
the CG looks like that.
well, that's not.
but I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just thinking about the whole idea of it being in this multiverse and the way that is handled so much better in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which probably because it's animation gives you the allowance to do that.
Yeah.
But it also is handled in a funner way in Doctor Strange, his multiverse movie, which I'm
Multiverse of Madness.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there are points where I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I did the multiverse aspect of it, but y'all could have had a little bit more fun. Y'all could have been a little bit more imaginative.
The differences between the two, like if we compare Multiverse of Madness and this, as weird as Multiverse was, I think it's a little more focused because no matter where they went, it was still centered on
America.
No, it was still centered on
no, the
on
character.
Strange.
Doctor Strange.
It was still centered on Doctor Strange.
He was still the
because
focus.
No matter
Right.
where they went, it was a bad one or a good one. They maintained the focus. Whereas
This one
for the second half of the movie, the Flash is not important, or he's not the biggest draw of the movie for the second half.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it almost deteriorates their story when it's more important that we establish this Batman and this.
I don't know if you saw
Supergirl.
the thumbnail I made for this show tonight says the Flash movie, but mostly Supergirl and Batman.
Not by runtime,
you mean
but
like Civil War?
yeah.
Like Avengers 2.5?
Hold on,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
They at least brought it all full circle, and it ended with Captain America's story arc, whereas this one,
Everyone
did
gets
too.
taken out, and then it's just the two of them.
And
That was
Civil
the midpoint of the movie, though.
and
Like the midpoint of the movie was the big everyone doing their thing, and then they went away
Everyone-
for a good half hour, 40 minutes.
and Civil War is the third Captain America movie.
True.
This is the first Flash movie.
These are all terrible comparisons for the most part, though, because this is a very weird kind of different
Yeah,
thing. of its
Very
own.
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
and we don't have to pit them against each other.
No, we don't.
That's-
We don't.
that's
At
also- yeah.
the end of the day, it
Favorite
was just
now.
okay for me. It was just okay.
Although we will do that.
But we don't have to.
Brian.
We're going to.
How many times did you see the movie?
I
see
saw it. I saw it one time.
Oh, wow.
I saw it.
That's more than most.
Oh, you saw it? Well, it's a Flash
that's
movie.
more
You
than
had to
most of
see
the
it.
most of the time he's here. So yes.
Yes, I liked it. Right,
Alright,
as I think we talked about last week, but it might have been off air. It has the Flash in it, right? So I'm going to like that part,
Yeah.
regardless.
The
And
Flash guy.
I like the way that he does the Flash. I like it a lot more in this modern era where we get a lot of versions of things,
Mhm.
and it's not like if this had come out in the 90s. I still would have loved it, but it would have been like, oh, they're doing a really different thing with the Flash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That has changed for me a great deal. I like them as the Flash, as I said. To address what we were talking about earlier, I would see another one with them as the Flash, in the sense of more forgiveness than anything, and the allegedness of the allegations, that kind of thing,
Sure.
until you really know. So yeah, I liked
fair.
it. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not gonna I don't want to litigate stuff. Like
Yeah.
some of the stuff is straight up allegations. Some of the stuff was arrested for assault and
People have been arrested for things that they were innocent of.
and breaking into someone else's house.
Yeah,
and
some
then
of it
being
seems
arrested. Like,
pretty.
some of it-
unlikely to
some-
get arrested,
some of it
right?
is
Yeah.
some of it is like straight up criminality.
Yeah.
And then some of it is
Yeah,
Documents in
narratives
the bathroom.
around
Yeah.
the criminality.
It's true.
So like the
Potential
narrative part,
grooming.
right.
we don't know.
And at least one
But
of
the
them,
criminality,
like that
like,
one, is like,
Do some
or
time, do
is
some
that
stuff.
somebody who he was helping realize their trans nature?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
Who
a
knows?
lot about
Yeah.
the story behind it. I don't. Finding out the goings on of celebrities like that is not my major thing. But I liked it. As I've said before, I was never as big of a Michael Keaton as Batman fan as
You
a lot of
monster.
other people. He never
Me neither.
nailed it for me as
No.
Bruce Wayne or as
Me neither.
Batman. Like I never bought it as much as I wanted to when I
I
was a kid.
mean, I loved it. But
Oh, so it was
like,
still great,
all
right?
cool.
Right. However, I thought he was great in this movie.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot, especially his ability to like move around
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a costume, which
Yeah.
was honestly was one of the big issues that I had with it back then as a kid. It was like
turn at
the-
the waist.
yeah, like he just wins because he says he's Batman.
The Batman fight scenes in this movie
Mhm.
of what I've been imagining with my Batman '89
Sure.
action figures
Yeah.
for 30 years.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like they really used the impracticality of that suit in really fun ways
Hmm.
with his fighting style.
Hmm.
I was like, this is awesome. That was
And
best
all
part of
the
movie.
all the cameos were cool, right?
Yeah.
They were just cameos. They weren't like,
Don't give too many
no,
spoilers.
no.
Yet. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't on the order of Spider-Verse or Far From Home.
Yeah.
But you do get some of that with the importance of Batman and Supergirl to the plot.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I liked it.
Sam C says Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Verse, and this, The Flash, are giving me multiverse fatigue. Just like that time period where we saw like 4 different end of days movies in the late 90s. John says Spider-Verse was a milestone. But question for you all, would you recommend The Flash?
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there,
Yeah.
John. Stay tuned.
I walked out of this theater going to see it the first time, and I was giddy. I was like, oh man, that was fun. I really enjoyed that. The CGI was absolute garbage. But the movie itself was a lot of fun. And then that was, how long ago was that? Was that like a month almost?
We saw it the end of May. No, the beginning of the first week of June. So we saw
First week
like
in June. 'cause
we saw
then-
like 3 weeks early, 2 weeks
Okay.
early. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that time, in the interim, I have sort of soured on the movie. There are movies that I'll go and see and I'll enjoy them and they'll be whatever. But then the further away from them I get, the more I appreciate. They simmer in my brain meats, my brain juices. And then I like them more and more. This one just, every time I thought about it, there was more things I didn't enjoy or that I thought could have been better or could have had a little bit of a rewrite or a little bit more time spent on the CGI, stuff like that. So last night I went to go see it again and I got bored and left after the kitchen scene, the spaghetti scene.
After the kitchens.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
man.
That's when the movie kicks in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just didn't care. I was
You
like, I'm
should
just
have
gonna
just
go
showed
home.
up then.
Yeah. So Eddie's in the chat saying I saw The Flash twice this
Ah, nice.
weekend. It was awesome. Glad you like it, Eddie.
Rainbow Warrior jumps in. What CGI did not work? I actually have an answer for that. I do
so
not.
much of
I
the
do-
CGI,
I do
especially
not-
on second viewing.
I have a problem with
I did not mind any of the action CGI rubbery. That's fine. It's the Flash. He's rubbery. Also, the chronodome they called it.
Yeah.
That was like a facsimile of a memory, so that's
Yeah.
fine too.
That I
the
gave a
shit
pass
that
to.
pulled me out was the terrible facial replacement stuff. Sometimes it's flawless. Other times, cutaway. That it was just like they would hold on a fake digital face of him talking, and it just like grated on me because they've had this technology of just having the actor change his clothes for decades now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like there's a scene in the middle where they're in young Barry's apartment and his roommates are there and blah blah blah. Old Barry and young Barry aren't even in the same space, but they use digital face on the young Barry when he's alone in a frame, and it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Like when they're holding each other, when they're like wrestling with each other, looks great. But for some reason, when they don't need to use it and they use it, it doesn't look good.
You're
And
right.
there's-
That
one
was
of-
tearing me out.
One of the things that really have been bothering me since the
You didn't
trailer
see it? No.
was the this really forced perspective close up on faces, like specifically Barry's when he's in the suit, and it's just they get too close to his face, which is in a CGI everything,
Mhm.
and it just feels like he's not attached to the rest of his body.
Yeah.
it's-
Almost like he's floating. The head
Like
is
his head's just
floating.
kind of floating, like when he peeks out of the chronodome.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but all the time.
Yeah.
But the stuff out in the desert and stuff where they're fighting the Kryptonians and all that, what
That's all
have you,
fine.
it's your usual CGI.
I didn't even mind the baby sequence that much.
That
because-
was
what-
god awful.
I
God
love that.
awful.
Wait,
that was
Love
amazing.
Wait, hang on.
God
I
awful.
didn't like CGI babies. That's fine. Also,
Ugh.
you are seeing him like it is his perspective at super speed. Everything's gonna have a weird kind of
Rubbery look.
Yeah.
like to it.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's when they tried for photorealistic and failed by a mark, even a small mark, it made everything kind of throw off. Like it's the mediocre stuff that kind of threw me off, not
Mhm.
the wildly weird and the the baby scene was fine. I love the memes about it. Like
Yeah.
they're like he takes the baby out of the microwave.
Yeah.
Everyone online has just got a gif of him
Putting
putting the
it
baby
in
in the
the
microwave.
microwave. Yeah.
And it's just become its own like visual language of like he fucked this up. It's a good gif.
Yeah.
But still, like I didn't mind it.
And it's, as I was watching the baby shower the first time, I was like, this is so ridiculous. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But the second time I was like, this is too ridiculous and I hate it.
Oh, I
It's
thought it
just
was
so
awesome.
dumb. And the CG
I
babies are the worst. And there was just so many. It's the way everyone was up Thor, not Ragnarok,
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder's ass for being too silly. And then everyone's applauding the baby in a microwave. Like this was a little bit too far.
But
for
I
me.
think
because
there's a
that's
difference.
fucking Thor, dude. Like,
Do you know
no,
that the Flash
no.
isn't a comedy character until Ezra Miller became that
It was a little earlier. He was
in
a
the
little more.
animated series?
Yes.
Yeah, but never
Yeah.
in the comic
Yeah,
books
yeah.
was the Flash
No.
funny.
And I never liked that.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing about this movie is that Ezra Miller in the Snyderverse and all this DCEU, they are not Barry Allen
Yeah,
or
or
Wally
Wally
West
That much
or
is for
any
damn certain.
like
Mm.
maybe he's oh god
A little bit of impulsy
Impulse.
sort of thing.
Maybe
Bart.
a little Bart.
Yeah.
Bart.
Allen.
A little bit of
yeah
Bart
maybe
Allen-y.
Bart but with
Yeah.
more social anxiety.
Yeah, Bart's not awkward feeling
With
at all,
social
really.
anxiety. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
your
true.
man's social anxiety was on 46.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like oh my gosh.
God.
But you
I
know what? I
was-
think the difference
Yeah.
between
Some days you cannot get rid of a bomb.
classic reference.
Yeah.
I think the difference between the baby scene and the Thor Love and Thunder stuff was that every moment of seriousness was undercut in Love and Thunder
Mhm.
by a joke, and it never built an emotional
I can see
weight.
that. I can see that.
Whereas this
The-
was one in the beginning of the movie, but two,
Yeah.
the microwave thing accomplished what he was trying to do with it. Like
Right.
the whole scene was fun, but he did what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
So this movie, more than any other movie with super speed, if there's so many, dealt with the physics of super speed better than any movie that
Ooh,
I remember.
disagree.
No. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like being able to move a human while you're super
Oh,
speed.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
loved all of that. So
Yes.
like they in the script set up handicaps, like actual handicaps for his superpower
Mhm.
to make him a little bit more creative, or have to make the character a little bit more creative.
Okay.
So that's what I liked about the baby shower. Like in a cartoon or a lesser movie, you'd probably see him just like grab the babies and go.
yeah.
Or in the
But, like,
comics, that's what he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually having to like, I can't move them too much because that would literally jostle their insides at super speed and kill them.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out a way to put it in this, and moving this doesn't move them, or doing this like that. Kind of creativity was something I really, really appreciated, giving the character some
was
sort
cool.
of handicap.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And then you got to see the ramifications of it.
No, it actually works. The scene itself, as it is set up, works. It's funny. It sets you up for you to know what type of movie you're in for the most part. At
Yeah.
least as far as Flash is concerned in the movie. The biggest problem with that scene to me is the special effects with these Windows 98 looking babies.
Yeah.
But
They're
other
dancing babies. They're all dancing
they're all
babies.
the dancing babies.
Ally McBeal.
They're all Ally
Yeah,
McBeal
yeah.
babies.
But other than that, I was fine with the scene. I was fine with the humor of it. You know, there's still some aspects of it story-wise that gnawed at me. But we'll talk about those in spoilers. The one thing I will say about the throw up of gag, which was great, but I saw it first time I saw it was in Invincible.
Oh yeah.
Because it happens in Invincible, right on the first episode of Invincible.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Didn't register that much. for me.
Although this movie was probably filmed before the Invincible cartoon even happened. That's how old
You
this
think
movie
so?
is. This movie's
been
old.
a while.
This
Yeah,
movie is like what? Like
it's been in
they
the
filmed
can.
it 3 years ago.
It's been in the can for 2 years, so they started filming about 3 years ago,
Invincible
and it's
was
been
about
in production for like 9 years.
okay, but it's been in production because they were trying to
Yeah.
get the script together, so you
Yeah.
can't go on.
Well, no,
that.
I'm just saying, like in general, like if it was a part of any early draft,
Invincible
like,
is already about 2 years old, and so they
Oh,
may
yeah.
have done that. They may have done that first, actually. I'm just saying.
I don't think
Sam
anybody's got,
says, "Oh gosh, could you imagine if Invincible was done live
I
action?"
don't think anybody's got the balls.
My first issue is why does Barry hang out with shitty people? Well, he doesn't. I don't like. Are you talking
Wait,
about his friends at the?
Spivot
No,
and
I think he's talking. I think they're talking about
Patty and
young Barry. And I think
because he's young Barry. Who's,
because that young Barry
never had tragedy.
Never had the tragedy of losing his mom.
Yeah, he's
so he's a completely different kid.
And because his mom is there and she spoils the hell out of him. He is a spoiled brat.
Losing his mom, but losing his mom.
She wipes his mouth when he's eating spaghetti. She reaches over and wipes his mouth because he's got sauce on his face.
Yeah,
and she does his laundry and she cleans his apartment.
Well, also,
so they probably pay for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a much different kid.
Oh, the coworkers.
He didn't hang out with them, and he even said that. Like, they kind of
just make fun of them.
They just work together.
Yeah, they're like bullies.
I don't think he liked them.
No.
Yeah.
So, my favorite part of the baby scene is the end credits. I wish it would have just been that version. Did you guys get to see the end credits?
Oh no, I left.
The dog. Just show the dog and have Barry running around in the background. I'm like, that's
you're right. That would have been.
Did they show what happens to the dog?
He
does land in the beginning.
Does he?
But in the credits you see him falling.
Yeah.
It is kind of cute. It's
nice.
You want to go spoilers?
We should go spoilers.
Oh, do we want to recommend or not?
Oh, should we each recommend?
Yeah.
Randy.
Yeah.
Brian.
I recommend it.
Maybe. No, I don't recommend it.
If you're a mega fan and it's a good matinee, go for it.
Let me qualify. If Spider-Verse is out right now, and if you need a movie to go see, and it's either this or Spider-Verse, go see Spider-Verse. How about that?
Well, I mean, that goes for a lot of things that have come out this summer so far.
Yeah,
just see Spider-Verse.
Yeah, just a movie on its own.
Like, what if you've already seen Spider-Verse?
Well, I mean, it's also like Guardians is better. I think Fast X is better. Like,
yeah,
it is.
I don't think I recommend it. No, I think it might be too silly for some people. Like, I take my mom to see a lot of the Marvel movies and stuff, which are very silly, and I think she would look at this and this is dumb. This is so dumb. Yeah.
What do you?
I mean, if you're in the bag for this stuff and it's a solid matinee, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not enjoy this movie, but there's a good handful of ones to enjoy it.
It's a dumb summer. It's a dumb summer movie. Go watch it. Have fun.
Right on.
If you wait till streaming, that's cool too. But it's worth watching.
It's and
it is worth. Yeah, it's kind of worth seeing on the live big screen.
Yeah,
it's fun in the big screen.
Yeah.
You know,
I still got chills when he kicks in. You know, he does this move in the beginning.
Yeah.
To like his logo.
That's funny.
And then you hear like almost kind of like a click of a gun as he's about to kick off, and watching him run on the big screen was very, very cool.
Was cool.
Yeah.
But the way they did the running effects, which we now have a bunch of stuff to compare with.
Yeah.
I thought was really cool. That kind of stretched out.
Yeah.
Time was altered kind of
way
thing.
better than speeding up his legs, or way better than clearly on a treadmill going at a normal pace when there's like shit around you.
I do I like that they did this a little bit. They toned this down a little bit from the.
Well, there's a weird
BVS
practicality to his like choices.
Yeah,
the
like a swimmer,
sprinter,
and the sprinter. Yeah.
Actually, I heard it was more like a ice skater.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah,
that works too. Like you're literally because like at a speed, he's going at a glide almost. No, I think that actually makes more sense than this.
Wait, when we get the spoilers.
We're in spoilers now.
You know what? We're in spoilers now. I don't know where to look. We're in spoilers now, so beware. Kick us off.
When he lost his powers.
Yeah.
And he was trying to run. Yo,
that was
dying.
Fun.
Your man was like.
I did lose my shit.
It was
around in
yeah.
Oh God, I was crying.
Yeah, that got me the second time too.
I'm slow.
So I have something to ask you guys. This is not Tim Burton Batman.
That's not a question.
True.
It's not Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
It is a facsimile or a version of Tim Burton's Batman because the actual Tim Burton's Batman is from Earth 789, and the only two metahumans are Superman and Supergirl, the Christopher Reeve one.
The only two that had shown up by the time those movies were made.
Well, I mean, in the most recent like multiverse map, Mark Waid explicitly says,
Wait a second.
This Earth, Batman 89 is Batman 789 or Earth 789, and the only metahumans that exist are Christopher Reeve, Superman, and Helen Slater, Supergirl.
Really?
So when they show that cameo at the end of Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater, I was like,
Yes.
I think that's probably Tim Burton's Earth
Oh,
or the Donner
Yeah,
Burton
that's
Earth.
cool.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of a fulcrum point, a fucking
you know what?
overlap of the fucking spaghetti, whatever
Yeah.
the metaphor is.
I
Yeah.
like that because I felt I had to go use the bathroom when we first saw The Flash,
Mhm.
And I missed the kitchen sequence with old bearded.
I love that.
Oh wow,
Blonde
you
was
missed that.
cool.
whole
I
sequence.
missed it.
It was
Wow.
a good sequence. We
Yeah.
walked
Oh,
in
so
during it.
And I was like,
Chicago,
this is not how I want to.
25 or 64.
25 or 64, yeah.
That's a great song.
I was like, this is not how I envisioned that Batman aging. Just
Mhm.
like
Mm.
alone in his house, everything's covered in bat guano, wearing a bad wig.
See, I
have
actually
an
thought
answer
that
for
he
that
looked
question.
better with the long hair than he
Mm.
does the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Why were they afraid to just show
Just let
him
him
balding?
be bald.
Yeah.
Just balding.
Because he looks dope as an old man too.
And
I
it's
don't know
not
what
like
the
he
deal
hasn't
is.
been balding in other movies.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's trying to hide.
Even
stuff.
as like the Vulture.
Yeah.
not a dissimilar.
So John
role.
has a decent question in the chat that I do have an answer for. Do you feel that there is an overall comic book movie fatigue? It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of people really running, pun and not intended, to see The Flash and the recent Spider-Man stuff. Spider-Verse is an exception. What do you think we can do to get butts back in seats? I think this
I
is
think he's right.
a multi-tiered
Yeah.
question. I actually don't think he's right. I think there's a dearth of comic book movies, but not a fatigue, because when a good one comes out, people run to see it. Like
Yeah.
No Way
Guardians,
Home was pretty big.
Guardians
Yeah.
still made
Yeah.
tons of money. No Way Home still made tons of money.
That's a good point.
Spider-Verse still made tons of money, but in between those, we had like 10 others that just kind of broke even, like Ant-Man and stuff. I don't think there's a fatigue. I just think there's twice as many
people
now.
being more selective.
They are being more selective. Post-pandemic, people still aren't going as much as they did to the movie
that's
theater
true.
because there's tons of like, we know that we can wait 3 weeks and possibly see it on streaming.
That's
just it.
the other thing. Why go to the theater and deal with people looking at their phones in front of me all the entire time when I can just wait a couple of weeks and then I'll watch
and
it
this
at
has
home?
been a trend in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
all
is not
film.
just superhero movies.
No. It's just
This-
movies.
And this is honestly from the beginning of the introduction of television,
Mhm.
movie theater attendance has been going down. And in the years 2002 to 2015, when I worked at a theater, I saw it go down, right? Because of DVD release. That has only accelerated, right? And once, like you said, during the pandemic, when something switches, people are like, oh, I could just watch it here for what I'm already paying something for, not $100 if I have a family and buy whatever snacks I want, right? There's arguments against as well, but I think that's a lot of people's feeling.
The other thing against the Flash and the DC line of movies has a couple of things against it. With Marvel built up so much goodwill
Mhm.
with the run up to all the Avengers movies.
Even downslopes have momentum.
Yeah, they like that you were still willing to give them a shot for maybe lesser known characters, i.e. the Netflix TV shows or Shang-Chi or
That movie's
even
awesome.
to be fair, the cultural resonance beside Black Panther, like Black people were going to go there, but everybody else gave it a pass too, because they build up the goodwill. With DC, they couldn't do the big guns right, despite some people liking some of those movies, but they definitely were conflicted on a lot of them. Like, so you really think they're going to do Shazam, who's Superman light, Black Adam, who most people don't know, and the Flash, who already has other baggage with him? So people are not going to give I don't know about that. Then the other thing is that even if you're not in the nerd space, just generally in the news, is that they're doing a reset.
Right.
So how much do I really want to be invested in this?
Which it really helps because it's an adaptation of Flashpoint, which did the exact same thing.
It was a reset.
Which this one definitively is not leading into this other stuff. But.
With conversations like this, a
we'll
lot of people want to attribute it to maybe one thing, but to your point, it's probably 5 or 6 things. Like I don't think that there's a overarching fatigue for superhero movies, but I do think that there's an overarching fatigue about getting out and going to the movie theater versus before we started recording, you were talking about all the dope ass shit that's on Netflix that all of us keep missing. So like, people aren't committing to one avenue of entertainment anymore, and I do think it's just like a larger problem.
Well, I will push back a little bit. I'm sorry, Brian. I'll push back a little bit just because I have a lot of nerds coming into my shop who we all used to be going to movies at midnights on Thursday nights and ready to go, all dressed up and ready to go and all that other stuff. And I keep having the conversation where people just be like, yeah, I'm just so behind on all my Marvel and DC movies. It's just like, I don't know. I'll get to them eventually. It's just, it just seems like,
a lot of that
if they're not saying the words fatigue, it feels like
fatigue.
They're like, they don't feel the hype to keep up with every new release that comes out. They're just like, I'll get to it.
With so many releases that they no longer are events.
It's not rare anymore.
That was the same thing that we were just saying. Like that is the same exact muscle that I don't feel like when you have one. We're all getting older. When we were all going to those midnight shows, there was one option on when to see it and how to see it.
That's true.
Like you limited the amount of opportunity,
right?
Which made it an event. It may not have been the actual content, just our availability to it. Now it's fucking everywhere. When the first Netflix shows premiered, I literally took off work the next day, and at midnight started watching them.
Well,
because that was a new
I went to bed, set my alarm, and woke up at 3 a.m. to watch the first
of Daredevil. Because that was the first of. There was no other. I know, right? I stocked up on frozen pizzas and smart food popcorn and just watched fucking Daredevil all day long. It was amazing. But that was the first of many, and now. I mean, I don't need to rush to watch these shows. There's 15 million of them. I do love them just as much, but it was just, I think we're romanticizing supply and demand a little too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It used to be whatever, like you would go, had there been, well, for instance, an Iron Man movie in 2008. You're like, well, I'm still gonna see it. I mean, it's Iron Man. I know him from the comics, and I'll be there.
I'm peripherally aware of that guy.
When like Cloak and Dagger came out on Hulu, like I always thought Cloak and Dagger was awesome, and I remember I still haven't seen it, and I remember when it came out, I was like, if this had come out in the 90s, you would not be able to tear me away from the screen because it's a comic thing. And now, luckily for us, there's a lot of stuff.
It's too much.
Hey, wait a minute. And this is a fun conversation, but let's get back to the spoilers for.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we were talking about a movie?
Favorite bits? What do you want to do?
I mean, your show.
You're
the host.
What do you want to do?
I was very excited to see Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman. But there are things that just like it does it. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Like
that's the only. For me, it did not need to be there.
It
was just his on Batman.
It was so forced.
He does like to
so
say that.
forced.
It reminded me of Halloween Kills.
Evil dies tonight.
Well, no. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. I'm like, there's no reason for you to remember as the chief of police that you said that to your daughter, fucking 40 years ago on one Halloween. That's not a line that you say all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't you remember my catchphrase from 40 years ago?
Yeah. That I said once, right before my daughter was murdered.
He might have said it a lot after that. It's just not on screen.
He remembers it so much.
Like, oh, that was a good line.
But even that, like, we all know, everyone in the room knows he's Batman. They tell him because the young Barry doesn't realize that they're in Bruce Wayne's Batman. Like, yeah, we all know he's Batman, and then he has to do the line, yeah, I'm Batman. Like, yeah, everyone in the room knows you're Batman. Why he's acting surprised that you're Batman? You just told him you're Batman.
That was a good joke. That part was a good joke, but then like that goodwill was ruined with the inorganic. We want to get nuts. So like there are some things that are done in a movie for the audience, not for the people in the movie. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
They did that a lot here, I feel like. Oh, my biggest one. You had one earlier that I want to hear about. You had some sort of what the fuck. My big what the fuck is, why can Zod use a stabby knife to murder Supergirl multiple times, who is a Kryptonian who's been under the yellow sun?
Kryptonian blade, and they reestablish it when Barry gets it phased and he's able to stab other Kryptonians.
A Kryptonian blade of a world where Kryptonians don't have superpowers because they're under a red sun. So why are their blades any more?
I mean, all
Their
of it is
Kryptonian stuff being
radiated.
super strong is well and long established
Yeah.
from the.
Yeah.
I mean, his
Yeah.
suit was originally just super strong, indestructible,
right,
Yeah.
because it was Kryptonian. It wasn't until like the 80s that it
Yeah.
changed. But also, one Kryptonian, Superman, is able to snap another Kryptonian's neck in the Man of Steel, right?
Mm.
So maybe also having the force that
Yeah.
Zod can apply with his super strength
Right.
allows it to go through.
And also too,
Oh,
all of
but
these
Zod
weapons.
also Zod in the movie does not have super strength because he does
He does at that point. He does at that point. He takes the mask off and stuff. In Man of Steel or in
no,
this movie?
no, in this
In this
movie
movie.
where
Well, he doesn't
he's
get
saying
killed
he's
in this
strong
movie.
enough.
He has super strength, but he hasn't. He isn't.
He's still masked.
Yeah, but he hasn't. That's not for his. That's like his strength.
Oh, that's only for
Yeah.
his senses,
Yeah, that's for his
not for
senses and
his
stuff. Yeah.
strength.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
remember
thank
in Man of
you.
Steel, when
All
as soon as they
right.
came off the ship, they was throwing shit around and
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
I just kind of assumed
Also-
that was
No,
like
that was more
the
for
suits.
their senses. No.
Also,
Mm.
I am
Oh, thank
head
you,
canon.
Randy.
All of the weapons and
Nice.
stuff are radiated with kryptonite, just being on Krypton
No,
and
they're
then
not.
being a part of the.
No, they're
Oh,
not
'cause they left
because
before it
kryptonite didn't
exploded.
exist.
In
The only
the Snyderverse,
kryptonite
there's
only
no
existed.
kryptonite.
Kryptonite only
Hmm.
existed because it was the kryptonite that they found in the Indian Ocean was from that world engine getting destroyed down there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it'd be like imagine like a somewhere in space and
stupid.
a nuclear sub blows up, right?
Yeah.
And there's plutonium there.
I
Yeah.
hate that.
That's why there's no. That's why, which is a better explanation for kryptonite.
I guess so.
For there
but
being kryptonite on Earth.
Yeah.
The idea that a planet exploded light years away
Yeah.
and a couple of rocks, like all of these fucking rocks,
Yeah.
showed up here on Earth
well, I mean,
all the time.
Well, I do
The
like
ship-
when it
I'll
gets
give you a
sucked
couple of
into
the
his
ship
wake.
did too.
I'll give you
I,
a
th- I
couple
think
of them.
in a lot of it, it's just. I mean, yeah, there's too much kryptonite just in general, but in the earliest of,
Yeah.
they all came at the same time.
Yeah.
That's fine,
But-
and it's finite, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was yours, Len?
Okay. So
Here we go.
let's get into this. All
Wanna
right.
get nuts.
Let's get
Let's
nuts.
get
Let's get stupid. That's what we're about to do. We're gonna get stupid.
Oh,
The,
that was awesome.
the bat kite was fine.
Of course, it would be a bat. Come on.
Yeah.
Miss Allen gets stabbed.
Hmm.
She gets
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
Husband finds her. Son comes.
Let me get this for you.
Dad comes.
He's like,
Barry comes downstairs. You know, like, oh my God, Mom, Dad, call 911. Call 911.
from a neighbor's house. That was the
Barry
other part.
runs
yeah.
out the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie, this didn't happen in 1944,
Yeah.
where there's only one phone on the block.
Yeah.
Look, we all know what transpires in that kitchen just because we're nerds. How do people that aren't familiar with all this not just incensed with the idea of, oh, by the way, who fucking murdered her?
It is
Yeah.
an odd
No
choice.
one
Yeah.
cares, right?
Yeah.
Like, just normies aren't talking about it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No,
it's a
that's
weird
true.
choice. I saw somebody online say Nikolaj Coster-Waldau was very briefly in the film.
Yeah, but just because he's friends
And-
with Muschietti.
Well, some people were wondering, and I didn't know that part. All right, like, is he Zoom? And
No.
it was intended to be the focus of another film.
No, Muschietti
know.
did say, like has said that,
Yeah.
like, it's
Oh, is
the
that
Reverse Flash kills the mother.
Yeah,
But the fact that it is nothing to do with the plot of this movie,
Yeah.
even though it is incredibly important to the plot of this movie, is a little wild.
It is
because
wild.
Yeah.
they don't even like, I wonder who really killed Nora. Literally no one talks
Yeah.
about it.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And also husband just fucking holding the knife in.
Yeah.
Like, dude, why are you touching it?
yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, although I I fully believe that is a super weird and decision and not one that I would necessarily make. But now that we're talking about it, the plot of this movie doesn't really revolve around him trying to
Figure out
what happened.
Solve the murder.
He's just wants it not to happen, and
Yeah.
so he does do that, and then he's like, problem solved.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
That is such a fine hair to
Also, why would
The-
that solve the problem? Why wouldn't Reverse Flash just kill?
Yeah.
Just do the same thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Well, he doesn't know.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
Barry,
yeah, yeah.
Barry doesn't know that. Okay. Other dumb moment.
Hmm.
There's a few. Not a lot, but a few. So Barry goes to get a coffee latte, whatever the hell he needs.
Sandwich.
Sandwich.
He wants a sandwich,
but
he's already 3 minutes late.
He can't get it made his regular way because the chick is not there that usually makes it. So this other dude, this has to make it, and he's giving him this whole soliloquy about making the sandwich. And then the time the dude turns around, Barry is talking to Alfred. I like that.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Like, I need you to clean up after Batman because Superman's not here, Wonder Woman's not here. We need you. I like that. Barry, who is running on fumes, we're led to believe, then takes off to Gotham City. He's running across water, so Gotham City is not across the street. He gets there, he cleans up, he saves like 9,000 Window 98 babies. He then gets involved with Batman. All the while, he's still talking to Alfred.
Yeah.
So
In
regular
real
time
Right.
is passing.
True.
And yet, after all is said and done, and one of the best moments of the movie where him and Batman have a
Just drives in,
meet
drives
cute
off.
with Wonder Woman.
Loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Loved it
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
A full conversation happens.
Yes,
Yes.
full conversation
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, he gets back to Central City, and dude has just turned around.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here.
Wait,
It is
actually,
probably the first time travel in the film.
more so,
Yeah.
more so than that. During the second viewing, and I understand that it's nitpicky, but it really bothered me the second time. The geography of everything, like Barry's plural, just get in a cab and go to Gotham, and it's a Central City cab that they get out.
I did
of.
notice that. I was like,
I'm like, that's a $700 trip,
And
and it
the
took
cab had to turn into a boat.
It took 9 hours in the car.
yeah,
And-
that tripped me out. I was like,
Yeah.
nigga, how much money you got?
Right? Yeah.
Like,
And
hold
like,
up.
I guess
They
he's got
didn't pay.
he's got alternate version Bruce Wayne's black card. I don't know.
right? Like,
But-
okay.
But and not only that, like Bruce Wayne gets to Central City in his like Aston Martin in like 15 minutes. Like the geography of this movie makes no fucking sense.
No, none.
Do they establish where Central City is supposed to be?
Far enough away from Gotham for him to need to like
Cross-
traverse farmland.
Yeah, and water.
Hmm.
Central
river,
City is theoretically in the Midwest.
It's supposed to be
somewhere.
like the
Generally
Twin
is,
Cities,
yeah.
Central
Yeah.
City and
Keystone.
and Keystone.
Yeah.
It's the Twin
generally
Cities.
Midwest
It's
somewhere.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
right?
you're in the Midwest somewhere. So, but yeah, that tripped me out. I was like,
Yeah.
Central City.
Technically,
Kansas?
Metropolis is closer.
Well, Metropolis
Then
and
Gotham.
Gotham are like across the bay from each other in
That's-
this universe.
That's
right?
true.
Oh,
Yeah.
in this universe,
you can
that's
see it.
right.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
It's supposed to be Chicago, New York. That's so dumb.
No,
yeah.
I've also heard it as Metropolis is New York during the day and Gotham is New York at night.
Oh, that's neat.
And
Gotham is like older maps. Gotham is Manhattan, New
Hmm.
York, and Metropolis is Chicago. It's a Midwestern city.
oh, I think that's more recent. In fact, Smallville was in New Jersey until the Superman movies.
Huh.
But I always pictured
Hackensack.
Metropolis being Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
one point, Metropolis was like between, like right below Philadelphia,
Yeah.
like Delaware, Maryland sort of area.
Yeah, like they're
Like,
near the
I've
ocean.
I've seen it looked at like
but
seen
it's
like that.
but
definitely.
not across the bay.
Yeah,
I think
right,
that's
right.
the only thing that kind of throws me
Yeah.
off.
Boy, we
Yep.
are some nerds. We
Right?
can go off on some
Yeah,
you got
tangents.
that
Yeah,
right.
but where's Opal City? I think we all at
Opal
least
City?
agree
Yeah.
that Coast City is fucking Northern California, right?
Yeah, I guess
that's
California.
all-
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
all
that's
agree.
right. For sure.
Well, it's back.
Okay,
It's
that's true,
Coast
yeah,
City's
it's
making a comeback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of bugged me was Barry goes through this entire thing to fix time and then learns that he can't fix time, so he's got to let his mother die, which is a very sad
Yes.
realization to come to. And I actually quite love the moment at the end. I actually
Yeah.
cried a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah,
with the mom stuff.
yeah.
So that was great. But then he doesn't learn his lesson anyway, and still he puts the stuff up on the top shelf, which still changes everything, which still creates another timeline or a spaghetti bowl.
So
It's like he
I'm-
didn't learn anything from this entire ordeal.
I'm uncertain. So like what he changes doesn't change the life that they lived before because his father was still in prison for
Yeah.
20 years or so.
Yeah.
Right.
It changes going forward after Wayne Enterprises is able to digitize the footage.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually change any of the past that he's already lived. It just changes the days he's about to have. However, it changes everything because of the spaghetti bowl. So like the theory being he will never be able to get back to whatever he came from because that no longer really exists. It's a whole mishmash of many.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you might as well, if it's going to be different, you might as well tweak it a
little
little.
bit.
Well, not even you might as well. He just didn't know that you can't go back to where you started because no matter what. So like the way that Batman describes it is, you know, straight lines of fulcrum, great. As soon as you go back in time, it's all a mess. There is no linear back, period.
Which to me, I think I've thought about this in terms of Star Trek a lot with the changes with the J.J. Abrams universe, but it applies here too. There is a lot of time travel in these realities, right? So even though you go back and change something, you have now changed the whole future, so other things could change it, and it supports the idea that you are creating this entire different past as well,
right?
Which I think is interesting.
Yeah, there's no unringing the bell. There's just maybe trying to.
Yeah. Or maybe you could, but it would be extremely unlikely.
See, it's this, I'm just saying the same thing, but I always look at it from the viewpoint of like, you can't change it. You can't change like this big thing, but what you have to realize is it's all about the butterfly effect. It's not about the big thing. It's just anything. You know what I mean? So that.
And how about that cameo at the end, my friends?
Which one?
That was the one that got me.
Which one?
The
George Clooney.
Clooney one. That got, because I'm listening to the voice. I was like, that's not Ben Affleck.
So,
who is that?
So
when he got out the car, I was like, I
still haven't seen it.
Laughed out loud.
So when we first saw it, at the previous screening, they didn't include the end credit sequence with Arthur, and they didn't include Batman.
Okay.
So it ended at who the fuck is that?
Yeah,
when he says it,
which arguably a better ending.
Yeah, I love that ending. I was like, oh,
who
the
fuck is
movie.
This? Yeah, like that's a great ending. But then when we're there's not even credits. It literally just fades to black and a QR code.
Yeah.
So I look over at you and you're like, oh, it's probably going to be whoever they're going to cast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that was George Clooney's voice.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It was George.
It was great being right.
I thought that was. I thought that.
Right.
Well, no, just because like I was like, I swear to God, I think that's George Clooney's voice because I actually kind of like Batman and Robin.
He had it on in my store the other day, Len. He had it on for people to see.
So
people could see it. Customers could see it.
It knows exactly what the fuck
I had
it
to
is.
see it.
And
it's good at it.
And George Clooney apologized for that movie.
Yeah.
Look, I was telling him I grew up every single day at 3 o'clock,
3:30 probably
3 and 3:30 at WGN Channel 9 in Chicago every summer afternoon, watching 2 episodes of Batman 66 followed by 2 episodes of Happy Days.
Yeah.
I grew up with Adam
That's
West
your
Batman just as much as Michael
did
Keaton.
I. Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about like
it.
full exposure. So when I saw Batman and Robin, a little bit of Forever, but mostly Batman and Robin, I was like, oh, they're doing 66. Cool. I'm in. That's fine. Yeah. It's just 66 with a budget. It's
George Clooney. Yeah. Very much like
of all the ones.
We're not, or just, it's not Ben Affleck. It's not the next guy to play Batman. It's got nothing to do with the James Gunn stuff. It's very much like, we're not ever going to do one of these again.
Yeah.
And this is a gag at the end of this movie.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
Because what I got from that was he still wasn't back.
Yeah.
And so when he, at the end, when he's talking to Arthur, it seemed to me like he had to try that a couple times. Like one of them was George Clooney, one of them was Kevin Conroy, one of them was
Bale.
God only knows, you know what I'm saying? And then he finally got back. He was like, oh, okay, all right, this is where I'm supposed to be. Whew, all right, thank God.
So another reading is that he's still wherever he is, and just like, hey, there's always because like, why would he potentially ruin the opportunity for his dad to be free by fucking around more? Maybe he's just there, and there's always Batman.
There's always Batman. They're about the same age, probably.
He's like, this will do.
This will do.
Either way,
like, in this universe, my dad is free. I've got a date with Iris.
Got a date with Iris.
Yeah.
Fuck it,
I just lost my best
doesn't
friend.
know.
That's it.
Yeah.
He calls Batman his best friend.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean,
he's still a Batman.
Who's to say that George Clooney's not a great friend?
Yeah, and he knows who he is. He's got his number. So, you know what I mean? Obviously, they're cool.
Yeah, he
I was like,
remembers
all right,
Barry.
Also,
yeah,
too, he probably explained it to him, and George is like,
that's
Alright.
interesting.
sounds fun.
Neat.
I'll
I'm
tell you what,
curious-
You want to
play.
go on an adventure, champ?
I'm curious though of
Chum,
all the
chum.
member berries that they go through, and God bless them, because you get George Clooney, right? You also get the time you get Nicolas Cage, the
Nicolas
one
Cage.
that
I cheered at that. I was
Everybody
like,
cheered to
holy
that.
Shit,
We
that
were
was-
cheering
Yeah.
slightly earlier because
Yeah.
as soon as we saw a spider,
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
spider.
We were like,
we
"Ah!"
knew.
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
when he turned
Yeah,
around,
yeah.
everyone else kind of chimed in.
Because the
Yeah.
spider, for those who don't know,
Super nerdy.
alludes to the Kevin Smith
Yeah.
script
Yeah.
of the Superman movie that
Superman Returns. Yeah.
that Nicolas Cage was going to play
Because
Superman.
somebody,
Yeah.
whatever producer, really wanted a spider.
John
wanted the
Peters.
spider.
John
Yeah.
Peters.
Yeah.
Wanted
Who
the spider.
that's
Wild
what he
Wild
saw
West.
one in Wild Wild
Yeah,
West.
which
Yeah.
I
Right,
like,
exactly,
alone among
exactly.
the people.
We don't have too much time left. Do you guys want to talk about the DCEU real fast or your favorite? Because this is potentially.
What were you
just
done?
the
What you
end.
were saying?
Oh,
I just forgot what I was saying.
You were,
the
you were,
cameo
that was a
references.
road
You
to
were
take
done.
us somewhere, and I think
Oh
we
yeah.
just-
Well, thinking about that, and then also Christopher Reeve
yeah.
Yeah,
that was
yeah, yeah.
great.
shows
Yeah.
up. Helen Slater,
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
George Reeve.
George
George
Reeves and Adam West. Even though George Reeves and Adam West, I like the way that they played them in that it looks like more like footage from their show.
Yeah,
that
it
was
did.
neat.
It was
Yeah,
also
yeah.
it was also technically a young CGI'd John Wesley Shipp as Jay Garrick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
heard.
yeah.
I
I heard
looking-
it was an actor of no note, is what the WB said, which is a very weird thing to say.
Huh.
That's what I was.
Yeah. So some people thought it was Teddy
Just that
Sears.
ball.
That's
yeah.
what I was actually getting
Yeah, it was,
getting to.
your ball.
Like
It
you
was-
saw the different Supermans, you saw different
was-
Batmans.
it was-
I didn't see Jay Garrick, so I was wondering
yeah.
like y'all couldn't put at
It
least
was-
one or two.
It was Jay Garrick.
Flashes
like
in
he was
there?
in the middle
Yeah.
doing his
Yeah.
thing, like in
Yeah.
his own
I didn't even
chrono
notice
bowl.
him.
And to be fair, the current Flash from the TV show, the CW, already did a crossover with Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was
That was
like
weird
2
not to
years
have
ago.
him
Which
run by. You
which
know?
by the way,
Yeah.
was
Agreed.
probably the best of these sort of weird crossover things that they've ever done
I agree.
because nobody knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes,
That shit
yes.
just was like, bam. They were like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit, they
Yeah.
put the,
Yeah.
and it was over.
And
Yep,
it was
yep.
two fully formed universes
Yeah.
that existed completely independently of each other and just met up.
Yeah.
It was great.
And then it was
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
probably my
That was
favorite one
great.
of those I've ever seen them do.
You know, this movie
Yeah.
does not actually have a multiverse, now that I think about it. It has changes in the timeline.
Which
You know?
creates a multiverse.
Well, but they don't exist concurrently,
Hmm.
you know? Or at least they don't say that they do.
I thought that was what was visualized at the end. They are just
All those
concurrently
different
existing
multiverses, yeah.
multiverse. Those
Yeah.
like it was so at first when they did the colorful globes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that they were different aspects of the Speed Force.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what you
I was like
Hmm.
Speed Force,
Still Force. Yeah.
but yeah, the Still Force and the
Oh, yeah.
Nap Force. Or,
I don't know. They were convoluted and stupid.
I'm
But,
never a big fan of those forces.
yeah,
No.
but I
Uh-huh.
thought that's what they were. But then when you got closer in, like it revealed it was a specific world or a set of characters, and then they
Yeah.
crashed into each other and didn't. So
Yeah.
to me,
Okay,
that
yeah.
was a visualization of
All right.
the multiverse,
multiverse,
that
yeah.
existed
Yeah.
being torn apart.
And coming back. All right. Yeah. Cool.
What was your question? You said we're about to wrap up.
DCEU.
The DCEU. The
Oh, favorite movie of our DC. Our
Yeah,
favorite
I mean, we
DCEU.
only have like 5 minutes if we want to get into like a full
Let's do it.
ranking.
Let's get into
would
a
be
full
another
Yeah,
2
our
hours.
favorite DCEU.
favorite.
Who's ready to go?
Well, let's
go in
gi-
order.
Give the audience what
Oh,
films constitute
Noel?
the DCEU.
Thank you,
My
Len.
bad.
Here it comes.
Okay, so the DC extended universe consists began June 14th, 2013 with Man of Steel. Happy birthday. Actually, yeah, it's like a week ago. So it consists of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman,
Mm-hmm.
Justice League,
Mm-hmm.
known colloquially as Justice League,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's true.
Aquaman,
Never heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Shazam! Puts with an
Mm.
exclamation point.
Hmm.
Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One
Oh.
Harley Quinn,
Forgot about
Mhm.
that.
Wonder Woman 1984,
Mm-hmm.
Zack Snyder's Justice League,
Mm-hmm.
The Suicide Squad,
Mm-hmm.
Black Adam,
Mm-hmm.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods, no colon, and
It's the
The
Shazam Fury of
Flash.
the gods.
Yeah, and The Flash. So that's
Alright.
14 movies. Well, 13 and a half because one of them's
is-
twice.
Justice League is
Hmm.
Which of these movies is your top 1, 2, and since they are probably not continuing this franchise in this format and like in this version.
Mm-hmm.
What do you wish could have continued or you'd want to see next?
Well, my favorite one is easy. It's the Suicide Squad.
Nice.
It was dumb fun.
Good movie.
Yeah. So good.
I love when a movie makes you feel like a little kid, and when Starro shows up, I was like, "Oh,
We
my
got a
God."
kaiju up in this bitch.
I was like, "Yo, I am here."
You know, I love when they actually do it after so many years in the 90s of like, well, comics are cool, but only if I do my thing and it's way scaled back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do Starro.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Starro.
Oh, and like the very end too, like I was happy just floating in space. For some reason.
I know.
For
was a
some
good
reason
line.
it still had pathos.
It did.
That
Yeah.
was good. Yeah.
And then honestly, if I could have seen anything continue from this, some people are not going to agree with me, but I did not mind Ben Affleck as Batman.
Oh, I think
Not at
everyone
all.
agrees.
Best.
Everyone everyone agrees, but they all say it the same way. Surprisingly, he's really good. He's great. Batfleck was great.
Well, he looks like Bruce Wayne,
He's
and he
awesome.
does a great job as Batman.
Yeah.
He's
And
the best
Did anyone
realization.
think he
the-
looked weird in this movie?
Well, yeah,
That was George Clooney.
God damn it!
It's they CG his face a lot
Why?
because
It's just-
it was all
it's just-
CG body doubles. They just fucking
No, I mean
matte
when
painted
he's
it.
sitting on the roof of his own car talking to Barry on the street, and he's just wearing a suit. Ben Affleck looked so CG and weird.
mid 50s.
Yeah,
Yes.
they probably tried to like
He's an older man.
Yeah.
make him look a little bit
He
younger.
looks great
even
for
though
his
that
age,
Batman.
but
Oh
yeah,
no,
he's
I
supposed to be
think
older.
yeah, he just
Um,
weird.
I,
Anyway, go ahead.
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck was a
He was I think everyone agrees. He was
Batman
awesome.
Warehouse. That Batman Warehouse fight is
And
still
BBS.
still
Yeah.
the
It's-
BBS,
look,
still
yeah.
the best
He
fight
moves
scene.
like Batman.
I have
Of-
watched that
Yeah.
by itself.
of all
Yeah.
the problems
$1,000.
that I
It's good.
have with this like set of movies, the casting has never been one.
No.
No,
Except
yeah,
for
the
maybe Ezra
casting.
Miller.
No,
Yeah.
you're
Hmm.
right.
For me, Ezra Miller is not any of the flashes that I've ever seen in my
I do
life.
find find that characterization grating as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
I-
rather
and
an
Yeah,
actual-
I have the same exact fucking answers.
yeah.
The Suicide Squad
Nice.
is my favorite. Very, very close to the first Shazam, and very, very close to most of the first Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
For the first Wonder Woman gets knocked into third place just because of like the last 20
the last 20 minutes. Yep.
because you could tell that they weren't only just like bad CGI'd, it was also like tacked on.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't watched that in a while, it does look really bad.
Oh, it's
There's
horrible.
a couple of, it's not even like the CGI fight part. There's a couple of like insert shots of her just like,
Mhm.
and it's like smoke behind her. It just looked like it was done poorly and quickly.
Yes,
It does
yes,
kind of
it
put a
does.
sour on the movie.
That
And
No Man's Land scene still gets me.
that's what makes the movie. Like
God
everything
damn
in the
it.
20s just
I like-
makes the movie, and then it just becomes a different movie at the end,
Yeah.
which is a little off. But the Suicide Squad is my favorite. I think it's the most enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
Not surprising. Directed by.
James Gunn. Yeah, I
Mhm.
really do like James
Mhm.
Gunn's story. It's kinds of stories, but I don't know that he should do everything. So I'm totally
Okay,
fine with
fair
it.
enough.
Like I'm not that much of a simp to be like James Gunn everything. It's
Mm.
just like the things he chooses, I'm very excited for. It doesn't mean I want him to do everything. Same thing with any
I'll be
director.
impressed if he nails Superman.
Yeah, and I think he
Everything-
might. I
every
think he's
time-
got a
I
real
think he might
chance.
too, but I
Every
would still
time
also
that
be a little bit
he-
surprised.
Every time that he kind of passionately, it seems as though every time that he passionately really commits to something,
Yeah.
he pulls it off.
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem to be the kind of dude that just takes on everything and figures it out. Like he's got to really want it.
Yeah.
Who else would pick Guardians of the Galaxy unless you
Yeah.
really want it?
True,
Right.
true,
Which
yeah.
I'm hoping as an answer for the question much closer to the top of the show, what could get butts back in seats and like reinvigorate interest in superheroes? And I'm not saying it will happen, but there's a chance, and I'm really hoping that
Yeah.
James Gunn restarting DC is unmined at
Yeah.
this point compared to Marvel.
Yeah.
And it's a whole new universe, and I hope that will happen.
Randy.
Batman.
Oh,
Yeah,
Batman.
Ben Affleck.
Batman,
Batman.
yeah.
I would love to see Ben Affleck as Batman and Cavill as Superman.
I would love a Cavill Superman.
In a
Man,
different
you
movie.
already know.
I know.
You already know.
You gotta say it, though.
There's no in my personal opinion. There's no
Man of
greater
Steel.
movie in life than Man of Steel.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That you give me if I'm not doing anything, click.
It's so hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Yo, that's my.
That's his jam.
It really did just
Yeah.
that thing hit me on so many levels. I'm like, damn, this shit is fucking fantastic,
Nice.
right?
Hmm.
And as far as like, I would probably push somebody down the stairs for a Man of Steel 2.
Hmm.
That and
A Man of Steel 2 by Zack Snyder or by someone else?
I would like to see his arc finish.
Yeah, because
Because
I feel like Man of Steel is the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
the part I don't think people got. I feel like he had this
Yeah.
idea of
We talked about that.
I want you to watch this person become this character that you know.
Mhm.
But he's not going to be this guy, 20 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And so I would be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
That and I could go for some more Shazam.
Yeah.
I loved Fury of the Gods.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
no,
it.
it was
yet.
fun.
I haven't seen it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Like
I thought it was
and
fun.
some of the CGI stuff. All right, cool. The movie itself though was so much fun. The kid that plays Freddie Freeman is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that dude. And then if you haven't seen it,
No.
Dude.
It's on my list. I mean, I'm
And,
watching.
all right, so you know how Mr. Mind shows up at the end of the first one? Spoiler alert. He does it again.
Oh.
And you're like, what the fuck?
It is a great bit.
And
It is
it's
a
like,
great bit.
I'm very small and I can't go but so far. But he's like, just hang out. I'll be back. And he leaves again.
It's
That's
good.
pretty funny.
It's a great bit. It is a
He's
great
sitting
bit.
in his cell. The whole thing is covered in hieroglyphs, and he's like, I've been waiting here for like several years, man. Like, what the he's like, what the fuck? And he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'll be back. And he
That's
just
really
again.
funny.
That's
Shit.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Give me more of that.
That's great.
I could definitely go for more of that.
So, I'm gonna answer in reverse order because Randy made me think about Man of Steel, which, like you said, that's the beginning. I remember walking out of Man of Steel thinking about it like 1938 Action Comics #1.
Yeah.
This is a sci-fi character where superheroes have never existed. This is the beginning of it all.
Exactly.
About how people would have felt reading Action #1, right?
But like in 2013,
Yeah,
in a world full of cynical fucks
right.
with
Who?
no concept of this being.
Yeah,
That's how it hit me. Yeah.
And I love that movie as well. So I'm torn for a sequel between that one, which I would love to see, but my favorite of these is the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. I thought it was great. I loved it. Some of that probably had to do with the length, right? There was a lot of things that he could do.
Universe.
Right, exactly. It was amazing. And I would love to see more of that as well, because obviously they hint at what's going to happen. I was so underwhelmed by the original Justice League. And then this one was, again, not necessarily the thing that I would make. Oh, no, it was great. You're incorrect.
You're right.
But it was not necessarily the Justice League movie that I would make if I was making any Justice League movie. And it's not what I'm hoping for from James Gunn's, whatever happens with his stuff.
Yeah,
but
better.
Yeah, I hope it is. I mean, I absolutely hope it is. But I'll tell you, I loved watching it. And I thought the action is really good. The story was cool. I enjoyed it.
Let him have it.
I'm
He's
gonna
got his
have
own
it.
opinion.
I'm gonna have it. They don't have the power to
was
stop
that
me having it.
audible? Facts.
That was audible. Yeah. I gotta say, I am having trouble making a decision because as much as there's so many things.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
You're audible
keep going,
too.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. There are so many things that I actively enjoy about Man of Steel, but there's also, I feel like, almost as many things I hate about that movie. Same thing about the Zack Snyder's Justice League unrated cut or whatever that was. Same thing with that. There's I go like this. So I guess it's probably either Shazam or the Suicide Squad
As a favorite.
Yeah. It's but those two are kind of up there for me.
Interesting.
But I remember walking out of Shazam and that being the first time I walked out of a DC movie in the past 13 years.
The three of us saw it together and we were all like
man, there it is.
The
That's
best
some good
movie.
stuff. Like, that felt good. That was a pleasant experience for me.
You
Not
were
just
really
me-
surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised
They
by
didn't
how much.
spoil
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Shazam.
And what do you want to see more of?
I kind of would love Batman. is my number one pick. I would love to have seen a Ben Affleck directed Ben Affleck movie, Batfleck movie.
Yeah.
But without that, what we said earlier about the cast, I think the cast of all of these characters, except for Ezra Miller, is perfect. And brought something interesting to their roles.
Except one. I didn't like what's his name, Cyborg.
Oh,
I mean, it was fine.
he was fine.
But
I kind of forgot about him, to be honest.
I don't really
me
like
too.
So,
I don't like Cyborg.
even though that
know,
version
but
of the Justice League is mostly
you
his
want a
movie.
black person.
It has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have liked another Justice League movie that wasn't by Zack Snyder, but showcased these
The
characters.
same
Yeah.
actors.
Yeah.
I feel you.
So anyway, John is in the chat saying, "Do you think the Flash has staying potential given the DC shakeup?" I don't think they do. If you're talking about this Ezra Miller Flash, I think they're gone.
Are you
I
just
don't think
talking
that
about
this movie is making the
Going to make the leap.
the
Not gonna make the
trucks of
cut.
money that it needs to make
They
in
have-
order for them to overlook.
Yeah, staying potential. Do you mean the theatrical release window? Like, because
Yeah.
I don't think second weekend's gonna
Yeah.
really save it.
They have
the
weirdly
second
been
weekend-
talking about a sequel though, like
Yeah.
more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
It's come up. You know what I mean? Like the director has said, like, oh yeah, maybe, which is not
And he said, I wouldn't recast Ezra Miller.
right.
Yeah, he specifically said that.
And
maybe because he doesn't want to use Barry Allen.
That'd be great.
yeah,
Give
we
us
were gonna
Wally
say,
West.
gotcha at the end of the trailer.
I think we need to grain of salt some of like the promotional
Sure.
answers to things.
Yeah.
Oh sure.
Like
Yeah.
they asked James Gunn if they're going to do anything about Ezra Miller, and the response was such a not response,
Yeah.
and everyone took it as like Bible lies or something, like
Yeah.
Bible. He
Law?
lied on a stack of Bibles.
Mhm.
And you ask Andy Muschietti right before his movie comes out, like, would you recast? Like, I had a wonderful time working with this actor. I think they're great in the movie. I can't imagine it.
Yeah.
Not, I would never recast this actor.
Yeah.
Like, but that's how
Right.
it's being
Yeah.
reported. Like, we need to grain of salt a lot of these
Even
like
if he
promotional
said,
answers.
I would never recast this actor on the opening weekend of his
Yeah,
movie,
Yeah,
still a
you-
salt
you-
grain.
you
in
don't.
there.
You
Yeah.
Sandman, that shit.
the discourse needs to just kind of chill out.
You think
I
Sandman uses
really
salt?
do hope that none of this affects, which unfortunately probably will, Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
It looks
Blue
great.
Beetle looks awesome.
This looks
That
fun.
movie looks like a lot of
No, wait,
fun.
why do
The
you think it
first
would affect it?
DCU character. 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of, like we were saying before, not just the fatigue, not just the comic book fatigue, right?
Mm.
But the idea that because James Gunn is going to be starting something
Exactly.
new,
Yeah.
like how many people are just gonna be like, well, this one doesn't matter anyway. And I think
It's a
I
whole
think them
new hero
I think them
too.
putting it at him out
Yeah.
as the first
Mm.
DCU movie, might save some of that.
Yeah.
But where does that leave Aquaman, right?
I
Yeah.
see.
Because
I think
Aquaman-
it's going to
Where
hurt
does he-
Aquaman
that-
more than
Yeah.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aquaman made $1 billion,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and it
That's
was a
insane
fun
to me.
fucking movie.
I hate
dude.
that movie so
Oh
much.
my god, I love the shit out of Aquaman.
Yeah,
I like it.
I
Honestly, I
love the
like
shit out of
Aquaman more than I like
I love
Zack
the
Snyder's
shit
Justice
out of
League and Man of
Aquaman.
Steel.
Aquaman
absolutely.
made $1 billion. The
China.
word that I heard is
So-
that the second one is not shaping up that good.
Hmm.
The word is that Blue Beetle, at least what they're trying to say, and I don't know how much of this is spin, is that the character and thus the actor are quote unquote safe for like the reboot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And like this is
yeah,
going to
that's what
be
they said,
part
yeah,
of
yeah.
it, but you don't know how much that is really just smoke and mirrors that they're talking.
Well, he was
Um,
in the original announcement, right? That we reviewed. Like Blue Beetle was part of that.
Yeah, he's,
Yeah.
I think
he
right?
explicitly says Blue
Yeah.
Beetle, a DCU kid.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Like
yeah.
because
Yeah.
the movie itself doesn't touch on the greater DCU.
Yeah.
So or DCU. So you don't. I mean, it's just a movie about a
Yeah.
kid with a thing, and then if they want to fold it into the greater landscape, I think the point is that it's not reliant on any other DC movie that came before.
Yeah.
And it may
Yeah.
have a few scenes that hint at something that happens.
Yeah. So
like he may have reworked a few things.
to that point though, Randy's mentioning Blue Beetle, if it's going to affect it, I actually think it's more of a conversation for Aquaman because
Mhm.
that has holdover baggage,
Yeah.
whereas Blue Beetle
Yeah, it
doesn't.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Aquaman may be safe. One, if the trailer sells it well,
We'll see.
and two, it is still more than a few months away. I think
Yeah.
Blue Beetle,
After being delayed like twice a year
Right.
each time.
right?
Yeah.
But Blue Beetle like is coming like almost like a month. or
August.
so. Yeah, in August.
Yeah.
So
Wait, Blue Beetle comes out in August?
yeah,
And it has no
It's
competition.
not a good sign that I
It's-
didn't know that.
It hopefully will do
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
yeah. So I
We're
think
gonna go
that
see it though.
Oh,
I mean,
it looks
we're all
great.
gonna go see it because we're probably gonna talk about it on the
Yeah,
show.
plus it looks awesome.
That's it. We did it. We talked about The Flash. Hopefully you enjoyed it more than I enjoyed The Flash the second time. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com and tell us
Hi.
what was
Your
the
question.
Oh, tell us hi.
Just tell us hi. We're so lonely.
What is what's your favorite sequel? Pop culture genre sequel.
Oh, and Rainbow Warrior did mention back then when you were like, it's not pop culture. She's like, what is The Godfather if not pop culture?
It's after the fact is pop culture. It didn't leverage pop culture.
exactly.
But isn't all
it was just a drama?
Isn't
All
all
things
the
are
stuff
pop
is pop culture? But I think we were using pop culture for genre sort of interchangeably
Yes.
at that time.
Everything is a part of popular culture.
Yeah.
But the slang pop culture is specifically something that is, leverages pre-existing IP and a different medium, and usually comic books or sci-fi or
Oh,
Nerd-
see, I would
nerd
have thought,
shit.
I would have said like
Nerd shit.
Friends was pop culture when it came out. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't made leveraging pop culture.
Yeah.
It
It
is pop
penetrated popular
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought pop culture was more of a comparison between that
So if
and
they
like,
made
Art.
if they made a Friends
Getting the shit
Yo,
out
the
of
if
it.
they
Wrap It
made a
Up box
Friends
is
movie
coming on.
today based
Yeah.
off the popularity
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
the Friends
Wrap
TV
it
show
up.
that
Yeah.
penetrated pop culture,
Yeah.
then it would be pop culture.
Thank you so
genre.
much for hanging out with us.
Like-
we'll talk at you later.
What?
Go on.
Bye.